The press conference now.
The second victim did not suffer injury. However, through investigation, we learned that the suspect in the case pointed a firearm at that person earlier in the day prior to this shooting occurring. That victim is a 15-year-old female juvenile. At this time, I'll turn it over to State's Attorney John McCarthy for his commentary.
Good afternoon. My name is John McCarthy, and I'm the State's Attorney for Montgomery County. I'm happy to join Chief West and the men and women that represent all the other allied agencies that responded so beautifully yesterday to the events at Wootton High School. In this particular matter, there was scheduled to be a bond review today for the 16-year-old who was named as the defendant in this case. However, the processing of that prisoner took past midnight, and it did not allow the bond to be scheduled in time for today's hearing. The bond review in this matter, and it will be for all the same charges that the Chief just outlined, the second-degree murder, 2 first-degree assaults, and multiple handgun offenses, will take place tomorrow at 1 p.m. before Judge Glynn, who is a district court judge. Literally, the building in which this is held is probably about 100 yards away from where we are. That bond review will take place at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. There's already been set a preliminary hearing date in this case, and the preliminary hearing date is for February the 20th at 9:30 in the district court. So there are 2 dates that are here. Now, the defendant in this case is 16 years old. He's charged originally because under the laws that exist in Maryland, if you commit either an attempted first or second degree murder or use a handgun in the commission of those crimes, the original jurisdiction is in the adult court. That is why, despite him being only 16, he is in the adult court based on the way the law exists in Maryland. Interestingly enough, that is what is now being debated in Maryland legislature as to whether or not those laws should be changed and whether or not these matters could be properly handled in the juvenile division of the court rather than the adult system. Again, it's just ironic that this would happen at a time when literally on Thursday of this week, this would be debated in the House of Delegates as to whether or not we're going to change how we would handle these matters and whether or not that would be an appropriate place or where a child could receive appropriate treatment for whatever led them to become involved in crime. Having said that, I'm going to reserve the remainder of my comments to following the bond review. There will be some comment after Judge Glynn sets the bond in this matter. I will tell you, as of right now, the defendant is being held without bond in a detention facility here in the county.
We had a lot of questions about the coordinated response yesterday, and I'd really like to talk about that for our community. This was a coordinated response between 3 significant law enforcement agencies in this county: the Rockville Police, Montgomery County, and the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office. In my time as a law enforcement officer, I've never seen such a fluid and smooth operation. We don't want these events to occur in any of our schools in this city or in this county, but I can assure you that if those things do happen, our officers are trained, they're prepared, and yesterday they acted without hesitation. The first arriving officers from all 3 police agencies, without due regard for their own safety, entered that school, and they used their training based on the active shooter protocol. They did not wait in the parking lot. They did not wait for backup. They made entry to save and preserve lives. And for that, I'm extremely proud of everybody's effort. At this time, I'd like to ask Sheriff Wee if he'd give some commentary on that joint response.
Thank you, Chief. Again, good afternoon. My name is Maxwell Wee, and I'm the sheriff here in Montgomery County. First off, let me reiterate our thoughts and support for the victims of this tragic incident, as well as all the students, the staff, and the greater Wootton High School family that's been affected. As the Chief said, we are very thankful for the coordinated efforts, the training that we put in on the front end by the agencies here in Montgomery County. I'm so incredibly thankful by our Montgomery County police partners, our municipalities throughout the county, certainly to include Rockville City, as well as the amazing work done daily by our sheriff's deputies. In this specific incident, it's my understanding we had over 15 sheriff's deputies that responded, and that commonality training that we work together before these types of critical incidents, again, as the chief mentioned, we're able to respond as one unified force. And again, I'm very appreciative of all the work that's done by our law enforcement agencies. Thank you, Chief.
Just as a follow-up, the victim in this case remains in stable condition at an area hospital. At this time, we'll take a few questions.
Could you tell us a little bit more about the relationship between the suspect and the victim, or anything you've gleaned from the investigation so far?
So I can tell you the victim in this case and the suspect are acquaintances. We are still investigating whatever that relationship may be and whatever the motive was for this crime.
Can you speak to the 15-year-old as well? Does that mean charges could be upgraded if he pointed a gun at somebody else? And maybe you said this, but the 15-year-old was also a Wootton High School student?
Also a Wootton High School student. We had probable cause to file the charges for first and second degree assault. Whether or not charges get upgraded or downgraded would be left to the good judgment of our state's attorney.